Obviously, Iran's pissed. I bet they are, bro. I bet they remount. Yeah, this is the Pentagon briefing. Okay, here we go. Great. I'm so sorry.
Iran's nuclear program.
This is the worst audio I've ever seen in my entire life.
Last night, on President Trump's orders, U.S. Central Command conducted a precision strike in the middle of the night against 3 nuclear facilities in Iran: Fordow, Natanz, and Asfahan, in order to destroy or severely degrade Iran's nuclear program. And as the chairman of the Joint Chiefs will demonstrate, it was an incredible and overwhelming success. The order we received from our commander-in-chief was focused, it was powerful, and it was clear. We devastated the Iranian nuclear program. But it's worth noting the operation did not target Iranian troops or the Iranian people. For the entirety of...
Yeah, they're trying to leave the door open. Like, they don't want to have a war with Iran. They just don't want them to have nukes. That's about it. Which, I mean, I'm in favor of this. I mean, I don't want to have a war with Iran. Absolutely not. But, I mean, you can't let them have nuclear bombs. That's very important. Yeah, because the thing is that if we start bombing their military and we start bombing their people, of course, that is going to... Like, all talks of, like, you know, like, that's basically what we tried doing that for 20 years, right? It didn't work. And so that's it. Yeah, bombs of peace. Yeah, I don't think we should do that at all. There's no reason to do that. It's a bad decision. And also, I think that, again, you know, even bombing their government and their regime, you know, that's something that I think that there's been a lot of restraint with as well. And even though they've killed a lot of them, they probably could have killed all of them, to be honest with you. And the reason why, I think, is because they want to, you know, they don't want to do that yet. So mostly peaceful. Yes, it was a mostly peaceful bombing.
His time in office, yes. President Trump has consistently stated for over 10 years that Iran must not get a nuclear weapon. Full stop. Thanks to President Trump's bold and visionary leadership and his commitment to peace through strength,
We have the support of the Iranian people, their citizens, and it'll make us in Israel look bad if we bomb their citizens. I'm sure that a lot of Iranians that are living there probably are viewing the U.S. as the aggressor, and they're probably upset about this. But at the end of the day, I feel like this is a you know, a small price to pay, and I think that that frustration and that anger would have been 1,000 times worse if we had bombed their actual military or if we had bombed a civilian area. So, yeah, I mean, I feel like any level of hostility that we have incurred because of doing this would have been 100 times worse if we had done it in a different way. It's not going to stop, bro? Well, I mean, you're wrong. Wait, so you think bombing the civilians would have made them as equally upset as bombing their nuclear enrichment sites? You really think that? Like, were you retarded?
Nuclear ambitions have been obliterated.
Yep.
Many presidents have dreamed of delivering the final blow to Iran's nuclear program.
Yeah.
And none could.
Obviously.
Until President Trump. The operation President Trump planned was bold and it was brilliant, showing the world that American deterrence is back. When this president speaks, the world should listen. And the
Isn't bombing their nuclear facilities the same as a call to war? It could be. Yeah, it could be. Maybe, maybe not. Hopefully not. Hopefully they realize what's going to happen if they keep going and they cut their losses and they move past it.
U.S. military, we can back it up. The most powerful military the world has ever known. No other country on planet Earth could have conducted the operation that the chairman is going to outline this morning. Not even close. Just like Soleimani found out in the first term, Iran found...
Fuck around and find out. He's saying it. Yep, there you go.
When POTUS says 60 days that he seeks peace and negotiation, he means 60 days of peace and negotiation. Otherwise, that nuclear program, that nuclear capability will not exist. He meant it. This is not the previous administration. The President Trump said no nukes. He seeks peace, and Iran should take that path. he sent out a truth last night saying this.
Truth.
Any retaliation by Iran against the United States of America will be met with force far greater than what was witnessed tonight. Signed, the President of the United States, Donald
That's literally it. Okay, wow.
J. Trump.
Yep.
Iran would be smart to heed those words.
Yeah, clearly.
He's said it before, and he means it. I want to give recognition to the Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, the Joint Staff, General Eric Kurilla at CENTCOM, who did a phenomenal job, he and his staff, all of CENTCOM. Policy, across the board, this was a joint effort, and across the Pentagon effort. I want to recognize the pilots.
It's crazy that like there were no leaks, nothing, none of this came out. Nobody even knew this shit was going to happen publicly. And like Trump apparently sent a bunch of those B-2 bombers over to like Guam, I guess as some kind of distraction while he just bombed them on the other side, which actually worked.
Who flew those bombers? Who flew those fighters?
Yep.
Who flew those refuelers? Warriors. I want to recognize the sailors.
The War Thunder players?
On those destroyers, in those subs, on those carriers. Warriors. All of them. I want to recognize our soldiers doing air defense, base defense, QRF, warriors. All of them. Every American involved in this operation performed flawlessly. And I want to give recognition to our allies in Israel as well.
They helped.
This is a plan that took months and weeks of positioning and preparation so that we could be ready when the President of the United States called. It took a great deal of precision. It involved misdirection and the highest of operational security. Our B-2s went in and out of downtown Tehran, not Tehran, excuse me, of these nuclear sites, in and out and back without the world knowing at all.
So they were already gone.
In that way, it was historic.
Damn.
A strike that included the longest B-2 Spirit bomber mission since 2001 and the first operational employment of the MOP, a massive ordnance penetrator.
Oh.
The mission demonstrated to the world the level of joint and allied integration that speak to the strength of our alliance and our joint forces. As President Trump has stated, the United States does not seek war. But let me be clear. We will act swiftly and decisively when our people, our partners, or our interests are threatened. Iran should listen to the President of the United States and know that he means it, every word. I want to give
this problem would have only got worse. It would have only got worse. If they had let Iran get a nuke, it would have just gotten worse and worse and worse.
Congratulations to our Commander-in-Chief. It was an honor to watch him lead last night and throughout, and to our great American warriors on this successful operation. God bless our troops. God bless America. And we give glory to God for his providence and continue to ask for his protection. I turn it over now
God
to the Chairman
why it happened.
for specifics.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. Thanks for recognizing all of our folks out there doing our nation's work, and nice to see everybody on this early Sunday morning. Last night on the President's orders, U.S. Central Command, under the command of General Eric Kurilla, executed Operation Midnight Hammer, a deliberate and precise strike against 3 Iranian nuclear facilities.
This
was a complex and high-risk mission carried out with exceptional skill and discipline by our joint force. I want to thank every service member, planner, operator that made this mission possible. Their actions reflect the highest standards of the United States Armed Forces. This operation was designed to severely degrade Iran's nuclear weapons infrastructure. It was planned and executed across multiple domains and theaters with coordination that reflects our ability.
It was a good name, bro. It is.
To project power globally with speed and precision at the time and place of our nation's choosing. This was a highly classified mission with very few people in Washington knowing the timing or nature of this plan. I'll refer you to the graphic on the side as I walk you through some of the operational details.
This is what they do.
At midnight Friday into Saturday
there were
morning,
7, 'cause
a
you can
large
count 'em.
B-2 strike package comprised of bombers launched from the continental United States.
Oh.
As part of a plan to maintain tactical surprise, part of the package proceeded to the west and into the Pacific as a decoy.
So they did do it for that reason. Okay, so they just straight up said, like, yeah, we flew those guys over there, so they thought we'd be attacking from that direction. Yeah, they literally just said that.
Deception effort known only to an extremely small number of planners and key leaders
It's a
here
debate.
in
It
Washington and in Tampa.
Yeah. Why didn't they asking Congress for permission is more important than secrecy? Why didn't they ask Congress? Because they don't have to. In matters that are an imminent threat, the president can exercise unilateral military discretion. He never needed to ask Congress to do this in the first place. That's just that's a made-up lie that's just invented by people that hate the president, or they hate America, or they have some other vested interest in keeping a terrorist state potentially armed with nuclear weapons. It's not true. It was never true. Obama proves that, and so that's really all there is to it.
The main strike package, comprised of 7 B-2 Spirit bombers, each with 2 crew members, proceeded quietly to the east with minimal communications. Throughout the 18-hour flight into the target area, the aircraft completed multiple in-flight refuelings. Once over land...
So they had to refuel them in the air? God damn.
The B-2s linked up with escort and support aircraft in a complex, tightly timed maneuver.
I love how, like, they actually think that, like, we literally have, like, these stealth bombers that are flying across the world, refueling themselves in midair, and then meanwhile, Iran is tweeting out AI videos of nuclear bombs, and people think that there's some sort of fucking equality here. Like, that they're gonna somehow get one over on us. Like, can you imagine, like, how fucking retarded you have to be?
Requiring exact synchronization across multiple platforms.
Bush did 50 unilateral strikes. Obama did over 300. Asmon's correct. The bullshit about Congress approval is a lie. Yeah, it's just bullshit. It's something that people say because they don't like the outcome.
A narrow piece of airspace, all done with minimal communications. This type of integration is exactly what our joint force does better than anyone else in the world. At approximately 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time last night, and just prior to the strike package entering Iran, a U.S. submarine in the Central Command Area of Responsibility launched more than 24 Tomahawk land attack cruise missiles against key surface infrastructure targets at Esfahan. As the Operation Midnight Hammer strike package entered Iranian airspace, the U.S. employed several deception tactics, including decoys, as the 4th and 5th generation aircraft pushed out in front of the strike package at high altitude and high speed.
So they blew up all 3 of them at the same time, pretty much. How much do you think this is a lie or half-truths? From my experience, and all the things said to the American public are always true. Well, I mean, I guess we're going to have to wait and see. Yeah, I mean, again, I would assume that, like, between the U.S. and America, or sorry, the U.S. and Israel, like, we're pretty much controlling this. Like, we're running the show here. That's what I would assume.
Sweeping in front of the package for enemy fighters and surface-to-air missile threats. The strike package was supported by U.S. Strategic Command, U.S. Transportation Command, U.S. Cyber Command, U.S. Space Command, U.S. Space Force, and U.S. European Command.
Space Force.
As the strike package approached Fordow and Natanz, the U.S. protection package employed high-speed suppression weapons to ensure safe passage of the strike package, with fighter assets employing preemptive suppressing fires against any potential Iranian surface-to-air threats.
Did that happen?
We are currently unaware of any shots fired at the U.S. strike package on...
I didn't even know this shit was happening. Yeah, there it is, right? I mean, like, as I said, I don't know how anybody could even imagine, bro. could even imagine that there's even any level of parity here at all. I'll be right back. Yeah, I didn't even know it was happening. Sorry about that.
On the way in. At approximately 6:40 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 2:10 a.m. Iran time, the lead B-2 dropped 2 GBU-57 massive ordnance penetrator weapons on the first of several aim points at Fordo. As the president stated last night, the remaining bombers then hit their targets as well, with a total of 14 MOPs dropped against 2 nuclear targets.
Yeah, there it is. So 12 on Fordo and 2 on the other. Massive penetrator? Yeah.
Target areas. All 3 Iranian nuclear infrastructure targets were struck between 6:40 p.m. and 7:05 p.m. Eastern time. Again, that's about 2:10 in the morning local time in Iran, with the Tomahawk missiles being the last to strike at Esfahan to ensure we retain the element of surprise throughout the operation. Following weapons release, the Midnight Hammer strike package exited Iranian airspace, and the package began its return home.
Yeah, clearly.
We are unaware of any shots fired at the package on the way out.
So they didn't even do it. They didn't even shoot him at all. Yeah. Hey, they didn't do shit. What a surprise. This dude, when he was talking about how many inches is that? Yeah, I guess so. And take shots back at, yeah. Ayatollah picks successors for his possible assassination? Why would he pick successors? Wouldn't we just assassinate them too? I don't even understand the logic there. Like, I mean, every time that you pick a new guy, they just kill the new guy. So why would you even do that?
Iran's fighters did not fly, and it appears that Iran's surface-to-air missile systems did not see us. Throughout the mission, we retained the element of surprise. In total, U.S. forces employed approximately 75 precision-guided weapons during this operation. This included, as the president stated last night, 14 30,000-pound GBU-57 massive ordnance penetrators, marking the first ever operational use of this weapon. I know that battle damage is of great interest. Final battle damage will take some time, but initial battle damage assessments indicate that all 3 sites sustained extremely severe damage and destruction. More than one.
They're probably fucked. I mean, the reality is that, I mean, it's going to be hard. Like, you're never going to reduce this to 0 until you get rid of the government over there. Because, like, they're just going to start trying to do it again. It's not like this ends the problem, but it delays the problem for a considerably large amount of time, which gives you more time to wait for the regime to eventually burn out anyway.
125 U.S. aircraft participated in this mission, including B-2 stealth bombers, multiple flights of 4th and 5th generation fighters, dozens and dozens of air refueling tankers, a guided missile submarine, and a full array of intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance aircraft, as well as hundreds of maintenance.
I mean, finally, like, I mean, we've been paying taxes for this shit for fucking ever. Think about how much money we've been paying for this for years. Finally, they're doing something with it. Did we get any Iran statement yet? I don't know. They probably said Iran probably said we didn't hit anything and all of our attacks weren't powerful at all. Like, that's it. Like, I guarantee you that's what they've said.
And operational professionals. As the secretary said, this was the largest B-2 operational strike
in new AI video. There you go.
U.S. history, and the second longest B-2 mission ever flown, exceeded only by those in the days following 9/11.
Yep.
Well prior to the strike, General Kurilla elevated force protection measures across the region, especially in Iraq, Syria, and the Gulf. Our forces remain on high alert and are fully postured to respond to any Iranian retaliation or
They said they evacuated facilities months ago? Well, I mean, based off of the fact that they can't even evacuate their own leadership to avoid getting killed, I just, like, the idea that people think that Iran can somehow do something without us knowing about it, while we're simultaneously like murking every single one of their leadership positions over and over and over. How can somebody believe that? Really, how could anybody believe that for a second? They can strike a moving car. Yeah. Do you really think that, like, so, and everybody knows where these sites are. Do you really think that they don't have satellites? There's not somebody watching the satellite. Where are those trucks going? I wonder what's in those trucks. Like, what do you think? What do you think happened?
Attacks, which would be an incredibly poor choice. We will defend ourselves. The safety of our service members and civilians remains our highest priority. This mission demonstrates the unmatched reach, coordination, and capability of the United States military. In just
Somebody says they have satellite photos of cargo trucks leaving. So let me get this straight. You think that the United States military doesn't have access to satellite photos that you saw on Twitter?
a matter of weeks, this went from strategic planning to global execution. This operation underscores the unmatched capabilities and global reach of the United States military.
It's
As
embarrassing.
the president clearly said last night, no other military in the world could have done this. I join the president and the secretary in being incredibly proud of the air crews, naval forces, cyber operators, planners, and support teams and commanders who made this mission possible. It is their skill, discipline, and teamwork that makes this operation possible. I am particularly proud of our discipline related to operational security, something that was of great concern to the president, the secretary, General Kurilla, and me. And we will
I was really impressed that none of this shit got leaked. Nobody talked about this. It just happened pretty much without any problem at all.
Continue to focus on this. As we stand here this morning, many assets are still airborne, and we have hundreds deployed. I ask that we keep our warfighters on their way home and our deployed service member in our thoughts. Our joint force remains ready to defend the United States, our troops, and our interests in the region. Thank you very much.
That's about what I expect.
We will take a few questions, Phil.
So they basically just cooked him. Like, that's it. Why is he patting himself on the back so hard? Well, I mean, I feel like this is kind of the time that you would do that, right? Like, whenever you carry out a successful operation that's bombing a place on the other side of the world with, like, multiple... Like, I mean, I feel like this is, like, if you're going to pat yourself on the back for anything, it would probably be after something like this. I mean, it's better to pat yourself on the back after this than, like, after eating, like, an entire rotisserie chicken in one night, right? I feel like this is a little bit more impressive.
Me?
Yeah.
So, is regime change off the table, Mr. Secretary? And to the chairman, you said the battle damage assessment is still ongoing, but do you believe that some nuclear capability in Iran remains?
This mission...
There's probably some percentage of it, but it probably went from like 80% to 5 or to 10.
Was not and has not been about regime change. The president authorized a precision operation to neutralize the threats to our national interests posed by the Iranian nuclear program and the collective self-defense of our troops and our ally Israel.
Thanks for your question. I think BDA is still pending, and it would be way too early for me to comment on what may or may not still be there. But thanks for the
battle
question.
damage analysis, I'm
Green.
assuming.
Green. No, behind you.
Excuse me, Mr. Secretary, can you tell me, was there a particular moment when the president decided to pull the trigger on this operation where he said, now, rather than being, something in the holster, now we're going to pull the trigger on it?
I would just say...
They should have negotiated in those 60 days, man. They had 60 days, but they were bullshitting around. They had their chance.
Having the opportunity to witness his leadership, he was fully committed to the peace process. Wanted a negotiated outcome, gave Iran every single opportunity, and unfortunately was met by stonewalling, which is why he gave them plenty of time to
60
continue to come to the
days.
table and give up enrichment, give up the nuclear program. But there was I won't say the particular moment, there was certainly a moment in time where he realized that it had to be a certain action taken in order to minimize the threat to us and our troops.
So he realized they were bullshitting around and he just blew them up. That was it. Russia seems to be warning Israel, saying they might retaliate for Iran. You think Russia's going to retaliate? You think Russia's going to go bomb Israel? They can't even take over Ukraine. Not going to do anything. Why would Russia go out of nowhere and just go and attack Israel? How do people believe this stupid shit? It's just fear-mongering.
Yeah.
General, you say that General Carrillo
Crazy.
increased force protection in Iraq, Syria, Gulf, and those areas. Were they given any advance warning the attacks were coming?
Yeah.
And also, Mr. Secretary, when were congressional leaders notified? How long before the attacks took place?
Sir, to your first question, you know, the risk has clearly been rising over the last few weeks in the region. Based on that and not a particular awareness of this operation, we've made smart decisions to minimize the risk to U.S. forces in the region.
So they were given no advance warning?
No, sir.
They didn't even tell us it was going to happen.
Congressional?
They were notified after the planes were safely out. Well, we complied with the notification requirements of the War Powers
After
Act.
the attacks, they were notified.
They told them that it happened. They said, by the way, we just got done bombing them. This just happened.
Immediately thereafter.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you, Secretary. Two quick questions.
After the fact,
Do you
yeah.
believe you completely destroyed Iranian nuclear program? And how about Iranian ballistic missiles? Your ally Israel always saying that is biggest threat. And second question is very important. What will be your next step if Iran or militias under Iranian influence on the region attack U.S. interests or allies in the region?
It's a good question.
And you can chime in on this too, Mr. Chairman. The battle damage assessment is ongoing, but
Yeah.
our initial assessment, as the chairman said, is that all of our precision munitions struck where we wanted them to strike and had the desired effect, which means especially in Fordo, which was the primary target
That's
here,
the main one.
we
Yeah.
believe we achieved destruction of capabilities there. Ultimately, wherever it may be, whether it's in Iraq or Syria or
Why would we
bases,
want to give people compromised by foreign interests any idea what we're doing? They have no goodwill left for me. Well, yeah, of course. Why would you want to tell them? Yeah, no, I completely agree with you.
in the Gulf, as the president said, it would be, as the chairman said, it would be a very bad idea for Iran or its proxies to attempt to attack American forces.
Be a bad idea.
Thank you, Mr.
The thing is that after you killed all of their leadership and you bombed them with 7 fucking B-2 bombers, I feel like in a lot of cases, they're probably going to listen to that.
Secretary, regarding retaliations, Iran and North Korea are cooperating on nuclear and missile development. Do you think there is a possibility that Iran, North Korea, and the other forces, such as China, will join forces to retaliate against the United States?
Well, unfortunately, because of the policies under the previous administration, we drove those countries together and ultimately...
Should have never let North Korea get nukes. What a massive fucking mistake. What a huge fucking mistake. How do you let something like that happen?
that creates a challenging environment.
So
For this particular operation, the focus is on Iran and Iranian nuclear capabilities. That's
Clinton's
our focus
fault?
here.
He fucked
is
up.
to not just say that they can't have, but President Trump has said from over 20 years, frankly, Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. And ultimately, he decided this is the moment, given their stonewalling, when direct military action.
You didn't have a choice, bro? China was backing them? Well, China and Russia were backing Iran, and we sure seemed to blow it up just fine. What are they going to do? Nothing. Being afraid of consequences oftentimes ensures that those consequences will happen in the future. That's the thing, is like constantly being afraid to act means that people will take advantage of that and act for you.
Had to be taken to prevent that from happening. Yes.
Thank you very much. General Kane, I understand OPSEC, I respect OPSEC. Can you say at all what security procedures are being taken to protect U.S. troops in Iraq and elsewhere in the Middle East? And Secretary Hegseth, as a
I don't think they would go and say that publicly, would they? That'd be a bit of a
terrorism
mistake.
veteran,
Yeah.
what do you say to veterans who may
Be a
be
big
concerned
mistake.
the U.S. is getting into another open-ended war in the Middle East over weapons of mass destruction?
Thanks, sir, for the question. I won't comment on what force protection measures are being taken in the region. What I will say is we're being proactive and not reactive, and being very thoughtful about ensuring that we do all that we can to protect our forces out there.
And I would just say, as the president has directed and made clear, this is most certainly not open-ended. It doesn't mean it limits our ability to respond. We will respond if necessary. The most powerful military in the world is postured and prepared to defend our people.
Yeah, obviously.
But what the president gave us, as I said, was a focused, powerful, and clear mission on the destruction of Iranian nuclear capabilities. Those were the targets. That's what was struck. That's what was overwhelming. That's what was overwhelming. That's what the Iranian regime needs to understand, as the president put out last night. He wants.
It's not about acting. It's about removing a rule that was holding for 70 years. Now it's open game for anyone who wants to go after a USA nuclear sector. I think that they would do that no matter what. I think that they would attack no matter what. I mean, like the people, like it's like before this was happening, Iran was still funding terrorist orgs constantly. Yeah, good luck.
Peace. There needs to be a negotiated settlement here. We ultimately demonstrated that Iran cannot have a nuclear capability. That is a very clear mission set on this operation.
Yep.
Yes. Hold on. Yes, right there.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. Question for the Secretary and the Chairman. How was this strike coordinated with the Israelis on a strategic level,
Probably told them it was gonna happen.
and on a tactical level? Was there any direct Israeli military participation in this operation?
Well, I would say certainly Israel had an incredible military success, especially at the beginning and ongoing, in degrading Iranian capabilities, in degrading Iranian launchers, MRBMs. It's been incredible to watch what our ally Israel has been able to do. And there certainly have been conversations. I mean, General Kurilla at CENTCOM has worked closely in the defense of Israel for many years. And part of this operation was the defense of Israel and the ongoing defense of Israel. But as it pertains to this strike, this was U.S. operated and U.S. led.
We took advantage of some of the preparatory work that's been done over the past week and a half.
Yeah, I mean, they clearly worked with Israel and shared information so they knew how to do this in the most effective way. I mean, this is probably what's been going on for weeks now. It's obvious that that's what happened. That's why you have an ally in the region that has a lot of intelligence. That's the entire purpose of that. If you don't have that, then why would you even do it?
In terms of axis of approach. I won't get into the particulars, but as the Secretary said, it was a U.S. strike. We made sure we were not in the same piece of airspace and sky. Aside from that, that was the extent of it.
We'll take a couple more. Yeah, right there.
Question to the Secretary first. Are you concerned whatsoever now about the reaction from U.S. allies given the strike, particularly those in the Gulf? And to the Chairman, if I may, I understand you don't want to speak to specific assets and force protection measures, but do you anticipate at least having to bring in any further assets from other theaters to aid in force protection over the coming days?
Why the fuck would he say that?
We certainly understand the challenges of allies in the region.
Why the hell would he say that?
We have been respectful and in working in collaboration with them as it pertains to basing and sensitivities there. Ultimately, they've got a lot of assets and people in those locations also where American troops are co-located. So that's a consideration of ours. We've been in close consultation with them, and we appreciate the support that we have got.
Thanks for the question on sort of the global picture. And as you know, that's one of my jobs, is to look globally at the entire range of challenges. We are always carefully considering our force posture around the world and then offering options to the Secretary and to the President. I won't comment on any future things, but the American people should know that we carefully consider those moves around the world and try to modulate as needed our force structure in the region.
Absolutely.
I'd expect something like that.
What communications are being sent to the Iranians right now, and is there any possibility of diplomacy now or in the coming days?
I can only confirm that there are both public and private messages being directly delivered to the Iranians in multiple channels, giving them every opportunity to come to the table. They understand precisely what the American position is, precisely what steps they can take to allow for peace, and we hope they do so. Yes.
Hopefully, right?
The president
Ideally.
may not want an open-ended conflict. The Iranians may disagree.
Well, I mean, obviously, you don't want an open-ended. Nobody would want an open-ended conflict. But being afraid of any conflict is guaranteeing a conflict that's bad in the future. I don't see how people don't see that.
Well, anything can happen in conflict. We acknowledge that, but the scope of this was intentionally limited. That's the message that we're sending. With the capabilities of the American military, nearly unlimited. So Iran, in that sense, has a choice. But we've made it very clear to them, this is nuclear sites, this is nuclear capabilities, this is the line that the president set, and we set that back. Now is the time to come forward for peace. But I think one of the takeaways from this as well is the unprecedented level of ongoing cooperation. I can't speak highly enough of the chairman and his staff and General Kurilla in CENTCOM, what they've done to look around the corner, to pre-position, to understand how an operation like this comes together. The scope and scale of what occurred last night would take the breath away of almost any American if you had an opportunity to watch it in real time.
Yeah, I mean, I bet they planned this shit out. Like, apparently they had planned this out for a long time beforehand, too. So, like, that's actually, that's a good thing. I'm glad. I'm very glad.
And I think Tehran is certainly calculating the reality that planes flew from the middle of America in Missouri overnight, completely undetected over 3 of their most highly sensitive sites, and we were able to destroy nuclear capabilities. And our boys in those bombers are on their way home right now. We believe that'll have a clear psychological impact on how they view the future. And we certainly hope they take the path of negotiated peace. But I could not be...
Are people so anti-war that they're worried about the cost of American casualties? I feel like we could wage war for cheap plus 0 deaths. People wouldn't be so ass-pained. I think that a lot of them are just brainwashed. I think they're brainwashed and they're afraid of another Iraq war. Which, I mean, I can see why. Like, I mean, I can understand the sentiment, but I don't think that it's a logical position to hold. Like the idea that because America made a mistake 20 years ago, that means that we can never take an action because it could be a mistake in the future. That's a very bad precedent to set.
More proud of how this building operated, of the precision, the sensitivity, and the professionalism of the troops involved in this effort. I will take one more. We'll take one more question. Yes, right there.
Thank you. Mr. Secretary, concerning the justification for these strikes, in March, the Office of the Director of National Intelligence released their threat assessment, concluding, quote, Iran is not building a nuclear weapon, and Khamenei has not authorized the nuclear programs he suspended in 2003, unquote. So what new intelligence does the U.S. have since then that the Iranians have changed their position on nuclear weapons? And does this
the premise that their position that they publicly state is anything to go off of is a bad premise. Like the entire idea that you should listen to what they're saying is stupid, right? Like just at a foundational level.
Intelligence come from U.S. sources and methods, or are we getting this information from other countries?
Well, I would just simply say that the president's made it very clear. He's looked at all of this, all of the intelligence, all of the information, and come to the conclusion that the Iranian nuclear program is a threat.
Yep.
And was willing to take this precision operation to neutralize that threat in order to advance American national interests reduce the Iranian nuclear program, and obviously collective self-defense of ourselves and our allies. So
Yeah, of
he
course.
looked at all of it,
That's what matters.
understood the nature of the threat, and took bold action I think the American people would expect in a commander-in-chief. That's all we've got. Thank you very much. Appreciate it, Mr. Chairman.
Damn. I mean, I think that's just about what I would expect, man. Why would they build nuclear things underground if it was just peaceful commercial actions, was meant to be a bomb from day one? Anybody who thinks that they weren't actually making a bomb is delusional. Or that they at least had intentions to make a bomb. They might not have been actively making a bomb, but they were probably putting together the pieces in order for them to be able to make a bomb. So it's not like, oh, well, we weren't really making a bomb. We were just making the pieces to put together in order to make a bomb. Yeah, or they're biased. Yes, there's definitely that.